What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's video, we're going to touch on the Giants' ass kicking of the Eagles. This was a long time coming. I was pretty excited about it. Kind of went the exact opposite of how I was expecting this game to go, because this was an absolute get-right game for the Eagles, and you can see like the Eagles are in some pretty big trouble where they barely beat us on Christmas Day, then lost to the Cardinals, and then got smashed on us and took some injuries too in this one where Jalen Hurts' finger was like all like mangled, gnarly looking. A.J. Brown had a horrific knee injury. And this was a game where they really didn't have to play your start. I mean, I guess the Cowboys were always going to beat the Commanders at the end of the day, but it is a tough look when you bench your starters at halftime because you got your ass kicked so bad and two key players have potentially significant injuries. Obviously, Hurts will play because he's a baller, but when your starting wide receiver blows their knee out, that's something else that will linger for this season and for quite some time. Giving us a pre-roll ad right off the bat there. I do want to talk about, usually when I do these videos, guys, earlier in their season, we go back, we re-watch a lot of the plays, we break them down. I'm just going to let it play through and talk over it, as we are kind of like, it doesn't really make sense to dive into like the scheme as much right now because obviously the season is over. This morning, the Giants fired special teams coach, which was something that needed to happen. I mean, it's not his fault. There were three separate kickers that got hurt, or they had to get the three kickers, but there were some glaring issues, especially when you go back early in the season with the blocked kicks, especially, blocked field goals that, really tanked the season, especially week one versus the Cowboys. And it's crazy how that transpires over a long season. As bad as the Eagles look in this game, I think their offense isn't doing anything. I think their biggest concern is got to be the matchup for the Buccaneers offense at home with nothing to lose, throwing all over the Eagles secondary. They're going to have their work cut out for them, and I would not be very optimistic if I was an Eagles fan. But enough about talking about the Eagles. We finally beat the Eagles. Daboll's finally beat the Eagles for the first time in his career after previously going 0-4 three times last year, once already this year. And and for the Giants fans and your friends and your family members or people that are just like, well, they ruined their draft pick. Shut the fuck up. The draft pick, you care about one position than fucking beating the fucking Eagles that have kicked our ass for the last decade? Are you out of your mind? No, this feels good. I don't even care if the season's over. Beating the Eagles is fun. We need to set the tone, and we need to do a lot more of that over the next coming years. And hey, maybe this started to set the tone a little bit because we had nothing to play for, and the Eagles had everything. And look at how it worked out for them in this game. 1 year in the NFL can make a huge amount of difference, guys. We saw it from our season last year where there was some success, but we ran into the Eagles and got destroyed. This year, we stunk all season pretty much. 5-11. Couple close games. You probably should have beat the Jets. There were a couple close games you should have won. Close games you lost that you should have won. Close games that you won, you should have lost. Same thing said for last year as well. But that's the NFL, guys. And when you look at some of these teams, you see like 10-win teams like the Browns. And even the Jets won 7 games. Obviously, that one game versus the Giants, if the Giants were competent, they could have won. But when you're looking at it overall, the Jets had 7 wins without a quarterback. Teams aren't as far away as you guys might think. But talking about the Jets and the Giants, there are a lot of similarities. Obviously, the Jets have pretty good defense. I don't think the Giants' defense is necessarily as horrible as it looks sometimes. I think they're stuck on the field too much, and when the offense literally does nothing throughout a game, it weighs on the defense. It makes guys go, they can't get rest, they can't catch a break. Then the offense goes 3 and out or turns the ball over, and next thing you know, your back's up against the wall with even worse field position, and you're asking a lot for your defense, which the Giants did a lot of all year. I don't necessarily agree with the media constantly asking Brian Daboll about his relationship with Wink Martindale. But again, at the end of the day, the media is so antiquated at this point for like what they're actually looking to achieve. And the biggest example of this is watch Bill Belichick's final press conference as the Patriots coach from Sunday. The same reporters that have not gotten a single piece of any shred of anything besides, we're on to next week. I like how they played. We have to build on this game. We're going to watch the tape. People were still asking him questions like he's going to respond, like he's someone that he's not. It's Bill Belichick. These reporters are pathetic. They've been covering the team for 20 years, and this is the questions that they're still asking this guy, getting the same responses. The media is completely, and I think my point is tying that to asking Dable about Wink Martindale because you're trying to create issues. I don't really understand why, like, there's a lot of personalities between the coaching staff, right? And I think Dable is a guy who commands respect. I wish I kind of talked more over these plays instead of just ranting because this is so much fun watching the Giants take a 24-0 lead. Yeah, the Eagles have some holes that will definitely be exploited by Baker Mayfield-led offense. And you don't got to be that good to beat this team. Darius Slayton, let's talk about two guys that stepped it up the last couple of games for the Giants. You're trying to see their potential become unlocked. This is a great interception by McKinney. Iron Man playing 100% of defensive snaps this season. He is up for a contract. Do you want to pay a safety? I don't know the answer. I was really, really pissed off at McKinney during the Dolphins game when they got absolutely railroaded and destroyed by the Dolphins. When the Dolphins were really playing like the Dolphins in their prime, hanging 30, 40 points a game on teams. And they did it to the Giants, unfortunately. But there was that play where Tyreek Hill just burned, I think it was like Hawkins or Banks, and McKinney was over the top, and he's just like, oh, that wasn't my fault. And he was talking like, it's like, dude, show some sort of leadership. And, you know, maybe to my point, too, about the press and the media asking questions and the beat reporters asking annoying questions, maybe he hit his breaking point and they got what they wanted. You know, an angry, frustrated guy who refused to take accountability, and you could use that against him. This was a play that needed to be called off immediately. It was never not covered. And Marcus Mariota, like, brutal. We used to run this play in college all the time. I hated it because shit like that could happen at really any point. And then they try to get Sterling a touchdown. I wish they got him one. But let's go back to finish talking about McKinney. McKinney, you know, had a very productive season. Not many guys play 100% of, I think it was 3 total guys in the NFL played 100% of their defensive snaps. And him, Bobby Okereke, can't speak more highly about Bobby Okereke, a true absolute leader, one of the best free agent signings that the Giants have had in quite some time. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can continue to do in an enhanced role moving forward. Again, but kudos and hats off to Bobby Okereke in a hell of a first season with the Giants. Next up, I do want to talk, I got off topic a little bit there. I did want to go back to talking about Wan'Dale Robinson and Slayton. Their potential, you could see their potential is there, guys. And again, Wan'Dale bouncing back off the ACL injury, which I was very, very nervous for him because having an ACL injury, lower body injury as a wide receiver, just ask Sterling Shepard, who's played in his final game yesterday. And we could talk about him a little bit more later on. But it is tough when you start getting lower body injuries as an NFL wide receiver. And Wan'Dale Robinson, Kentucky kid, comes in right off the bat, gets a really big one with the ACL. I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do next year. You know, really putting the nervousness and the you know, just being scared of potentially doing it again when you're a quick, shifty guy who has to make cuts, who's going to get the ball in space and have to make people miss very quickly. And I'm glad to see that he was able to bounce back as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So, also this play, I didn't understand why Olszewski ran back in there to try and get the ball, but that really didn't make sense to me. Maybe someone else can explain it to me in the comments. And then Slayton is another guy. You know, he has so been wildly inconsistent throughout his entire career. And those little glimpses get you coming back. He really has been kind of the only consistency in this offense and this team that can make plays. But, like, and he gets pissed here because he's like, oh, I could have gotten in if I could have just, you know, walked the line a little bit there. But he's someone, is he a wide receiver 1? No one is saying he is. but he's a hell of a complimentary number 2 or someone who could create space downfield. Jalen Hyatt got knocked out of this one. A lot of untapped potential there. I don't think this team is as far away as they played this year. There are glaring holes, like I said before, that the Jets and the Giants both have, especially in the offensive line front. The Giants, really, you have left tackle Andrew Thomas. Guards both need to be replaced. Center John Michael Schmitz gets a free pass this year, as we said, because he was a rookie. It's a change, guys. It's a change going from Minnesota to the NFL as a 24-year-old, and you're trying to figure out everything. Everything's going a million miles a second, and you're trying to figure it out. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He did miss time due to injury, so that's something hopefully he could put together a full, complete season next year. And then, obviously, Evan Neal, I do not trust him whatsoever. I would 100% assume we have to go with the tackle in this draft because Neal cannot be trusted. I'd either tell him he's playing guard, or you could be a backup or get traded for a 6th-round pick. I don't know. You have to cut your losses sometimes with these guys to be able to move forward. Look at the 49ers. They cut their losses with Jimmy Garoppolo. They cut their losses with Trey Lance. They were able to find, luckily, a pick at the end of that draft who's pretty successful and up for an MVP. You never know where you're going to find talent. And just because you win one game over an Eagles team that needed to win one, and your draft pick might be hurt a little bit, who gives a shit? Because you could find guys, and it's all about developing a system and a culture of making it successful for guys to come in, play their roles that they are best equipped within the scheme, and figuring out a way to make it work, whether that's at the quarterback position or whether it's an interior offensive line. So that's going to be the major task that Joe Shane's going to have in front of himself for this offseason. Aziz playing good the last couple of games. I mean, a lot of these guys got good decent towards the end. I don't know. Maybe they just had a lot of pressure off themselves and everyone stopped trying to win when it didn't matter. I don't know. But Sterling Shepard, number 3, young Shep, moves on to 5th all-time in receptions for the Giants. We're going to miss you. And hopefully, it's hard to tell people that if they want to continue to play on another team, maybe another team will sign him, but he hasn't really done anything the last couple of years, but he still is a Giant for life. And he seems to have that persona where he could step into either a coaching role or scouting role or something along those lines. So hopefully the Giants keep him around. But guys, that's your season. Giants get to 6 wins somehow by the grace of God. You go through 3 quarterbacks. You also have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, but a record-breaking offensive line with the most sacks allowed since the 80 or 70 something Eagles, which really shouldn't even count compared to a modern NFL record, which is a glaring weakness that I wish I talked more about in the preseason, but here we are. So anyway, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be posting a little bit more in-depth detail of each positional group and what went right and what went wrong, and just keys to unlock for the future. As all of this is still fresh in my memory, I want to put it in a video form and post it for you guys to see if you guys agree or not. So anyway, thank you guys for watching and have a great day.